The 4-year-old girl crawled into the shed where the rescue dog hid, surrounded by rusted garden equipment and broken glass. When her mother discovered the security footage later that evening, she wept uncontrollably. For nearly 3 weeks, the Hendersons had observed their newly adopted dog, Bailey, trembling in terror, rejecting every gesture of kindness they extended. One morning, their daughter, Emma, vanished into the backyard. Despite repeated warnings to avoid the frightened animal, they called out frantically, convinced disaster was imminent. What the outdoor security camera recorded was so extraordinary, it revolutionized their understanding of compassion forever. When hope began to die, the evenings had transformed into an endurance test of crying and pacing. Jennifer Henderson rubbed her burning eyes, calculating the hours since she'd experienced more than 2 hours of uninterrupted rest. 17 days. 17 days since they'd collected Bailey from the animal rescue, and the small beagle mix continued to refuse integration into their household. "She's declining food again," her husband, Ryan, announced, his tone devoid of emotion from weariness. The full dish of specialized dog food remained in the corner, where Bailey had concealed herself beneath the entertainment center. "That's 3 meals she's skipped, I'm aware." Jennifer's hands quivered as she prepared her 5th cup of coffee that day. "The rescue told us she'd adapt. They said to be patient. It's been nearly 3 weeks, John." Ryan's expression hardened. "She's petrified of everything us, Emma, even her own reflection." Their daughter Emma sat cross-legged on the living room carpet, extending a chew toy optimistically toward the corner, where two terrified amber eyes gleamed from the shadows. The 4-year-old's face contorted with focus, creating gentle humming sounds. "Come here, Bailey," Emma cooed softly. "This is nice. Look." The dog's complete frame shuddered. Her tail remained tucked beneath her, ears pressed flat against her skull. "Emma, sweetheart, stop bothering her," Jennifer called too harshly. The sleep deprivation was eroding her composure. "The veterinarian instructed us to provide distance, but she's unhappy, Mama." Emma's bottom lip protruded. "I just want to make her happy. You're making it more difficult." The words escaped before Jennifer could restrain them. She observed her daughter's expression collapse and immediately felt remorse. "I apologize, darling. I'm just Mama's exhausted." Ryan slumped onto the sofa, face buried in his palms. "Perhaps we should contact the rescue. Inform them this arrangement isn't successful." The statement suspended in the atmosphere like a verdict. "You want to surrender?" Jennifer's voice wavered. "After everything we committed to." "I'm not surrendering. I'm acknowledging reality." Ryan stood, frustration transforming into anger. "Observe her, Jean. She's suffering. We're all suffering. Perhaps she requires a different environment. Someone experienced with severely traumatized animals. She requires patience." "How much patience?" Ryan's volume increased. "She won't consume food. She won't engage. She trembles every time we enter the room." "And Emma?" He glanced at their daughter, who'd retreated to the staircase, observing them with anxious, wide eyes. "Emma's becoming frightened in her own residence." "Is this what we envisioned?" Jennifer possessed no response. The rescue volunteers had cautioned them that Bailey originated from an extreme neglect situation discovered in a backyard kennel, isolated for weeks, severely malnourished. They'd insisted she required compassion and time. They'd guaranteed she would flourish eventually, but time was suffocating everyone. The breaking point. That evening, Bailey's whimpering persisted relentlessly. The piercing sound grated against Jennifer's final nerve. She discovered Ryan in the kitchen at 1:30 a.m., staring at his phone displaying the rescue center's contact information. "I'm calling them in the morning," he stated quietly. "This isn't sustainable for anyone, especially Bailey." Jennifer wanted to protest. Instead, she simply agreed, too depleted to argue. Emma appeared in the doorway, clutching her stuffed giraffe. "Is Bailey going away?" The question penetrated directly through Jennifer's heart. "We're discussing what's optimal," for everyone precious. But I care about her. Emma's voice was barely audible. She just needs a companion. Sometimes caring isn't sufficient, sweetheart, Ryan said, and Jennifer detected the resignation in every syllable. The following morning, something altered in the residence, a pressure that resembled anticipating a storm. Bailey had relocated from beneath the entertainment center to behind the washing machine in the laundry room, still compressed into herself, still shaking at every sound. Ryan had already contacted the rescue. They'd dispatch someone that afternoon. 24 hours, Jennifer whispered near the washing machine, crouching close but maintaining distance. We provided you one more day. Bailey's gaze met hers, containing something that resembled comprehension or perhaps surrender. Emma spent that morning positioned nearby, never approaching, simply maintaining presence. Jennifer observed her daughter whispering to the dog, though the words were inaudible. The girl's small hand rested open on the floor, an invitation of tenderness. The dog remained immobile, frightened. Asterisk, asterisk, the moment everything changed. Asterisk, asterisk. The afternoon arrived too rapidly. Jennifer was preparing sandwiches when she heard Ryan in the shed organizing the scattered gardening equipment. He'd been postponing that task for months, but now he worked with almost aggressive intensity, anything to avoid witnessing the rescue vehicle arrive. Then came the commotion. Metal clattering, Ryan's startled exclamation, the sharp sound of tools tumbling. Jennifer's head jerked up. Through the kitchen window, she witnessed Ryan stumbling, and behind him, the shed door hanging open. Bailey! Emma's scream pierced through the house like lightning. Jennifer dropped the plate she was holding and sprinted. Her daughter was already racing toward the back door, her small legs moving with frantic urgency. Through the glass, Jennifer observed what Emma had seen, a blur of brown and white fur vanishing into the shed's open entrance. Emma, stop! Jennifer lunged for her, but the girl was already outside. Don't go in there. The shed was hazardous. Exposed nails protruding from wooden planks, jagged metal fragments, a broken rake with sharp prongs, the circular saw blade Ryan had been sharpening, and somewhere in that dangerous space, a panicked dog. Ryan emerged from around the corner, complexion pale. Where is she? There, Emma pointed to the far corner where Bailey had wedged herself behind stacked flower pots near the workbench, where sharp implements gleamed in the afternoon sunlight. Emma, return to the house immediately. Jennifer's voice emerged harsh with terror. All she could visualize was her toddler and the dog both panicking. Sharp objects everywhere, blood and emergency rooms and countless terrible scenarios. Don't move suddenly, Ryan cautioned, advancing slowly with his hands extended. If she runs. But Bailey was already trembling so violently her entire body convulsed. Her eyes appeared wild with terror. One paw elevated, prepared to flee, and directly in her escape route lay the circular saw blade. Everyone freeze. Jennifer hissed, her pulse hammering. This was it. This validated why they weren't prepared for a traumatized animal. Someone was about to be injured. Then Emma started advancing. Emma, no. Jennifer lurched forward, but Ryan's hand extended, stopping her. Wait, he breathed. The 4-year-old moved with an unusual, deliberate calmness that seemed impossible for someone her age. Not frantic, not reaching. She simply advanced with her small hands visible, open, unthreatening. Bailey's trembling escalated, her muscles coiling to escape. Emma, please, Jennifer whispered, tears flowing down her face. Come back. But Emma didn't stop. She reached the corner where the dog pressed herself against the wall, surrounded by danger, imprisoned by her own terror. The girl slowly, carefully descended to her knees on the concrete floor. For an instant, nobody breathed. Then Emma did something that would echo in Jennifer's memory forever. She leaned forward and softly pressed her forehead against Bailey's trembling head. The shed fell completely silent. You're safe now, Emma whispered, her small voice carrying through the stillness. I love you. The shaking ceased. Jennifer watched, paralyzed, as Bailey's body transformed from rigid terror to something gentler. The dog's wild eyes focused on Emma's face, mere inches away. Her breathing steadied. The trembling that had characterized every moment of her existence in their home simply vanished. Then Bailey's tail moved just once, a hesitant wag. "Oh my God!" Ryan breathed beside her. Emma remained motionless, her forehead still touching the dog's. "See," she whispered. "Nothing bad, just friends." And then Bailey did something miraculous. She pressed closer, eliminating the tiny gap between them, and her small pink tongue emerged to lick Emma's nose. The girl giggled, a sound so pure and luminous, and filled with such uncomplicated happiness that Jennifer felt something shudder open in her chest. "Good girl, Bailey," Emma murmured, her small hand now moving to gently stroke the soft fur. "You're the best girl." Bailey's tail wagged again, then again. Her body unfurled from its defensive position. Those frightened amber eyes that had avoided every gaze for 3 weeks now locked onto Emma's face with something that resembled trust-like recognition, like finally finding home. "Are you witnessing this?" Ryan's voice cracked. He fumbled for his phone. The security camera would have recorded everything. Jennifer couldn't speak. She watched her 4-year-old daughter settle back, and Bailey, terrified, traumatized, Bailey crawled forward to nestle her head in Emma's lap. The dog's tail wagged continuously now, her entire body at ease in a way they'd never witnessed. "You were just scared," Emma said softly, both small hands now embracing the dog's face. "But I'm not scary. We're best friends." Bailey's response was to burrow closer, pressing against the toddler's small frame as though attempting to merge with her. The trust was complete, instantaneous, undeniable. The footage that changed everything. That evening, after carefully extracting both child and dog from the shed and observing in amazement as Bailey actually consumed her dinner while positioned directly beside Emma, their bodies touching, Ryan accessed the security footage on his tablet. Jennifer stood behind him, Emma balanced on her hip with Bailey's head resting against the girl's dangling feet. The dog hadn't departed Emma's vicinity since the shed, not for a single instant. The footage played. They watched Bailey flee into the shed, witnessed themselves react with panic and fear, observed Emma walk forward with that inexplicable calm. Then the moment the forehead press, Emma's whispered words captured by the camera's audio, "You're safe now. I love you." And Bailey transforming, the shaking stopping, the tail beginning to wag, the lick, the trust materializing, visible and absolute. Ryan's hands trembled as he paused the recording. On screen, frozen in time, a 4-year-old girl and a broken dog pressed together in perfect understanding. "Without that camera," Jennifer whispered, "I wouldn't believe it happened. I'm observing it and I still can't believe it." Ryan's voice broke. He turned to regard Emma, who was smiling down at Bailey with such simple, pure affection. "How did you understand what to do, sweetheart?" Emma shrugged, the gesture so casual it was almost amusing. "I just knew she needed someone to love her." Understanding what happened. The next morning, Jennifer called the rescue back not to return Bailey, but to share what had occurred. "It's actually quite common," the volunteer named Patricia explained, her voice rich with understanding. "Canines, particularly traumatized ones, frequently respond to children differently than adults. Children don't project the same expectations or tensions. They simply exist authentically in the moment." "But it was instantaneous," Jennifer protested, watching through the window as Emma and Bailey played together in the backyard. The dog was genuinely playing, running, her tail a constant rhythm of joy. 3 weeks of terror, and then, children possess remarkable intuition. Patricia continued, "Your daughter approached without fear, without attempting to control anything. She offered companionship without demands. For a dog who's experienced trauma from adult humans, that innocent, unthreatening presence can be precisely what creates the breakthrough." Ryan leaned against the kitchen counter, replaying the footage on his phone for what felt like the 100th time. "We were so concentrated on respecting her boundaries that we were actually strengthening her isolation, making her feel more abandoned. You were doing what seemed correct," Patricia reassured them. "Sometimes recovery doesn't follow the patterns we anticipate. Sometimes it requires a 4-year-old to demonstrate that love isn't about boundaries or schedules or techniques. It's about authentic connection. If it hadn't been for Emma double quotes, Jennifer couldn't finish the sentence. If they'd sent Bailey back to the rescue that afternoon. If they'd surrendered one day too soon. But it was because of Emma, Patricia said gently, and now you have precisely the family you were meant to be. A new beginning? Through the window, they watched their daughter and the dog tumble in the grass together, both laughing or barking with pure and self-conscious joy. The rescue volunteer had been accurate about one thing. What appeared like failure was actually the journey to exactly where they needed to be. They'd been attempting to heal Bailey with adult logic, adult methods, patience, space, and veterinary guidance. All valuable things, but not what this particular soul required. She'd needed a child's wisdom, the kind that doesn't analyze or strategize, the kind that simply perceives another being in pain and says, "I love you." That night, Jennifer sat on the floor of Emma's bedroom, watching her daughter and Bailey curled together in the small bed. The dog's head rested on Emma's chest, rising and falling with the girl's breathing. Both were sound asleep, finally peaceful. Ryan appeared in the doorway, phone in hand. "I preserved the footage," he said quietly, "every second of it. I keep contemplating what we nearly did." Jennifer's voice broke. "How close we came to sending her away, to surrendering. But we didn't." Ryan sat beside her, his arm encircling her shoulders. "Because Emma believed in her when we couldn't." They sat in silence, observing the two small souls who'd rescued each other, because that's what it truly was. Not just a girl rescuing a dog, but mutual salvation. Bailey had discovered her protector, her safe haven, and Emma had discovered her purpose, her first understanding that her capacity to love could transform someone's entire existence. "I shared the video with my sister," Ryan said after a moment. "She cried. Everyone who witnesses that footage cries. We've watched it countless times today." Sarah smiled through her tears. "Because it's not merely about a child and a dog. It's about everything we assumed we understood being incorrect." Ryan pulled her closer. "About wisdom emerging from the smallest, most unexpected sources. About how healing doesn't always appear the way we think it should. The greater truth." The next morning, Bailey consumed her breakfast with enthusiasm. She played tug-of-war with Emma. She even approached Jennifer and Ryan, permitting them to pet her, her tail wagging steadily. The transformation was complete, as if the fearful, trembling creature from before had never existed. But they understood better. She had existed. She'd been real, and her pain had been genuine. It had simply required a 4-year-old's pure heart to show her the world wasn't entirely composed of fear. From that day forward, Emma and Bailey became inseparable. They napped together, ate side by side, played until both collapsed in exhausted piles. The dog followed the toddler everywhere, her eternal shadow and guardian. And Emma talked to her constantly, filling the atmosphere with stories and affection, and the simple certainty that they belonged to each other. Sometimes the boundary between despair and hope is guarded not by expertise or strategy, but by the uncomplicated wisdom of a child who hasn't yet learned that some things are supposed to be impossible. What we fear, the vulnerability of patience, the risk of continued effort, often prevents us from recognizing that healing doesn't follow our schedules. It follows its own rhythm, waiting for precisely the right soul to unlock it. In the end, the Hendersons didn't save Bailey, and Bailey didn't save Emma. They saved each other, the way all genuine love works. To small beings, both uncertain of their place in the world, finding it in each other, pure, uncomplicated, perfect. What the camera captured wasn't merely a moment. It was evidence of the truth that sometimes the greatest healing happens when we stop attempting to control it and simply allow another heart to lead the way. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that love speaks through actions more powerful than words, don't forget to like this video. Comment your thoughts about trust and healing. And subscribe for more powerful stories that remind us what truly matters. Share it with friends and family, because sometimes the smallest souls carry the greatest power to teach us how to love without fear. If this story touched your heart, please support the channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who needs a little hope today. See you in the next story.